Welcome back to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. So I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology, teams, and products. So today we're diving into an advanced yet essential topic for a lot of C# and .NET developers, implementing the repository pattern with multiple databases. So if you want to write cleaner, more maintainable code while working with multiple data sources, this is a great guide for you. And as always, I love to bring you code samples, and today's no different. We've got great code samples here for you. So let's break it down and dive in today. All right, so today we're going to talk about the repository pattern in C# and .NET. And like I said, this is great for using multiple data sources. Let me adjust some things on the monitor here so we can make sure we're getting you the best view. All right, so understanding what a repository pattern. So the repository pattern is a design pattern that mediates data from and to the domain and data access layers. It helps you manage data operations like querying the database or persisting data changes, making your code cleaner and more testable. By abstracting the data access logic, it allows you to focus on the business logic of your application. So with my 25 years in development, I can tell you that this pattern is a game changer for maintaining scalability. Now, implementing the repository pattern offers several benefits. First, it promotes a clear separation of concerns by decoupling the data access code from the business logic. Second, it makes unit testing easier since you can mock the repository pattern. Lastly, it enhances maintainability and scalability, which is critical with dealing with complex or large applications involving multiple databases or data sources. So anytime I use the word database, you can replace it with data sources because this pattern works for multiple different types of data sources. So when you're working with multiple databases or data sources, the repository pattern becomes even more valuable. You can create separate repositories for each database, allowing your application to handle data from different sources seamlessly. This approach simplifies data management and ensures that changes in one database schema won't affect another. So with proper configuration, your application can efficiently switch between databases, leveraging the full potential of each of the data sources. Now, we're going to implement this pattern with C# and .NET, and as always, we love to bring you code samples. So make sure you go and download the code samples. They're in the comments down below, and because there's hundreds of code samples out there. So get one. Talk about getting a 2 for a deal. This is like getting 400 for a deal. Implement the repository pattern in C# and .NET involves a few steps. First, we'll define the interfaces for your repositories, specifying the operations they'll support. Then we'll create concrete classes that'll implement these interfaces and interact with the database. Using dependency injection, you can easily switch between different implementations without changing your business logic. This flexibility is key to building robust applications. Now, we're going to dive into that a little bit here. Let me go through this last slide and then we'll jump into the code. So to see the repository pattern in action, consider a scenario where your application needs to pull data from both SQL and Mongo. By defining separate repositories for each and a service layer to manage them, you can seamlessly integrate these data sources. Always ensure that your repositories follow solid principles to maximize maintainability. Remember, the goal is to keep your data access code clean, testable, and easy to manage. All right, so let's jump into some code here. Okay, so we're going to dive into this code here now. So again, as always, make sure that you download because there's a lot of different code here. So I'm not going to go over the entire thing today, but we're just going to go over this most important parts. Now, the best part about this is this all runs. So if you connect to your database and see that, then you will, because this you can see we've mocked this because I can't really publish all of our connection strings here, but you can see a first connection string, second connection string, right? And so you can see that the builders will add the DB context, right? Then we add the scopes, the controllers, and this is our application. But the part we really want to get into is we want to get into our data access layer, right? So we can see that we have an IDB context provider, right? And then the service provider will allow us to get the specific DB context that we're going to be working with, right? So we can see our first DB context, right? And this is where you would then put in, let's say you were going to, like the example we gave with Mongo, right? This one could be Mongo, and it could be that Mongo is storing all the books, right? And then our second DB is going to store the movies, right? kind of a silly example, but let's say that it's coming from SQL, right? So as we do that, then we can see our repository pattern, which is going to list and allow us to be able to work against the repositories of these different, so that we can see that we can have these this class here to work between. So as we talked about in the slides, we're going to first, define interfaces for your repositories. So let's go grab those interfaces here. So we first start with our interface, right? And we're going to use the interface for defining for your repositories and specify the operations that they'll support. Then we create a concrete class, right? So, and this is our context provider, right? Then we provide our concrete classes, which are these ones that I was just looking through before, right? That implement these interfaces and interact with the database. Next, we'll use dependency injection. So here we'll use dependency injection to interact with the databases. And then you can easily switch between the different implementations without changing the business logic. This is the flexibility that allows us to build a robust, adaptable applications. So you can see our models here with the movies and the books, and then how these are going to interact with the interfaces. And we can see those all come together as it begins to use this in this concrete class with the dependency injection. So overall, you can pull down the code samples, connect them to some of your databases here. We even have some example migrations in here. And so pull these down and start to run through them. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers with our tutorials and as well as with our tutors. We have world-class coding bootcamp that we offer here. And so make sure that you pull down all of the code samples, go through them, connect them to your databases, and spend the time to work through these together. And I know that as you do that, it will come together a little bit more for you. And so ultimately here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers. So make sure to go like and subscribe, leave us a comment, and we will catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.